Joining us now is CBN and Regent University's Chief of Police, Chris Mitchell, to talk to us more about this national crisis. Chief Mitchell, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, your reaction to everything that's happened this week.
It's a horrible week for America, not just for policing and not just for the community, for America as a whole. It's evident the divisiveness that we've seen and has developed over time since Ferguson has just polarized, and it continues to get out of hand. And it does demand us as leaders to stand up and take a stand, not just for Black Lives Matter, which is a phrase that's been coined. But if we're going to use the term Black Lives Matter for all people, so all lives matter. And it's not just about officers, incidents of officers with, Black men being shot by police, but what about the hundreds of thousands of babies that are being slaughtered in abortion mills and the young people that are shooting themselves in inner cities? This goes broader than just an issue of officers and the community. There are hundreds of thousands of police officers every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that are serving our communities with honor and valor and integrity, that want to do the best job that they can.
What are you hearing in the police community about what happened?
Great sorrow. We always take responsibility for the actions that we commit or the actions that we do. We are always at the end of that spear. We recognize every day that when we go out on the street that we are accountable for everything that we do. And we're not going to sweep it under the rug. We're not going to try to dismiss the fact that maybe we made mistakes. But how much emphasis do we put upon the fact that there are officers out there doing great things in our community every day? When something like this happens, it gets polarized and it gets taken out of context. So especially when it relates to a white officer on a Black individual. And so we are all responsible for this, and we all have to take ownership of it.
What should people keep in mind when they're approached by law enforcement?
First and foremost is just be compliant. You should not fear a police officer. And in the case of Minnesota, it's a sad situation. I don't want to discuss or go into that detail, but it is apparent, or it seems apparent, that the individual did exactly what he should have done. He communicated that he did have a concealed weapon. He had a permit to carry it. And so by all appearances, it seems that he did the right thing, and that is to be compliant, to be supportive, and to advise the police officers of what you have if you have something of that, a weapon.
Now, Chief Mitchell, you're also a pastor. What are your thoughts on what has happened on this recurring problem in our nation, coming from a pastor's point of view?
A pastor's heart weeps for the loss, not just the loss of life, but the loss of family. These individuals that were taken away from us, their families are wounded and hurting. The officers whose lives will be impacted forever, their families are wounded and hurting. But we as a people, not just Black people, we as Americans, because I'm not an African American, I am a Black American, and we are here as a people. And as a pastor, I want to bridge the gap. I want to see people come together. My wife initiated 5 a.m. prayer even before this happened, because we saw things beginning to develop, and she really called for it. And I said, sweetheart, please. And so we've been having it. She actually had it this morning in wake of what happened in Dallas.
Wow. Anything else you want to say about promoting racial unity and the church's leadership in that?
We need to be tolerant of each other, regardless of our skin color, our backgrounds, or whatever it is. We need to embrace each other as a community. As Americans, we are all in this together, and we rise and we fall together. So violence is not going to be the answer. It's going to have to come from love. It's going to have to come from acceptance, and it's going to have to come from a place of tolerance. For the policing community, we are doing everything we can, especially at Regent, as well as in our city here in Virginia Beach, to be community-minded, to be community police officers, where we engage the community, put a good face to what we do, because we do great things.
Okay, CBN Police Chief and Regent University Police Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
And your insights.